The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good afternoon, traders. Happy Wednesday. Welcome out to the middle of the week. Welcome to the Tradespoon live trading room, stocks and options closing bell. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. It's good to see everybody. We got to hang out this morning. That was always nice. Now we get to process what we talked about, what we thought might happen, what signals might develop, or what we might be then looking for tomorrow. So my name is Scott. I'm the head trading coach here at Tradespoon. Make sure my mouse is working. I have been trading for over 20 years, teaching, coaching, mentoring for almost 20 years. 20 years this summer. Can't believe it. Hi, okay. Good to see you. It's light. We're seeing a little bit of market apathy. It's an interesting thing when that happens, market apathy. Anyways, here's the disclosures. Be careful. That's what it says. Be careful. Trading can be risky. Make sure you manage your risk, your emotions, have a plan. Remember, we're not advisors. This is for education purposes only. Oh, got the hiccups. Pardon me. Okay, let me get the keyboard more accessible. And we will be ready to go. Okay, what's happened? Well, we started off flat, and then things tried to get bullish. You can see we were bullish in the morning. We're like, maybe the buyers are going to do it. And then they lost some ground. Then they regained a little bit of ground. The S&P's down a quarter. The Dow is down a half. The NASDAQ is flat, and the Russell is down a half. So overall, more bearish than not. Key recession indicator sends investors sharpest warning in 42 years. That is the yield curve that has inverted at the widest level in quite some time, 42 years, in fact, which interestingly enough matches up with similar statistics around inflation. They're the same problems that we've been having, right? It's just, what does it take to get out of them? Okay. What else? What else do we know? Continued job strength. We know we got a good jobs report from ADP. We know we have non-farm payrolls from the Department of Labor coming out on Friday, and we'll see there. But certainly the labor component is still fine. No problem. There's no weakness at all showing up. Not in the jobless claims. Not in the not. Is there a point where we might have a negative surprise? Maybe. Retail execs say that inventories are in great shape from consumer discretionary standpoint, so that's good. We're going to do a little sector rotation analysis today. As of now, we're still kind of looking at financials, industrials, technology, maybe some consumer discretionary. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What else? What else? What else? Fluent Americans are snatching up prime real estate in other parts of the world. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's really all we have from the news. Let's take a look at the economic calendar to see what's going on there. Have a few stragglers coming in. Welcome out if you're just joining us. Today we had ADP employment came back better than expected. Job openings came back better than expected. So even at 10.6, I mean, literally, that's 2 jobs for every unemployed, essentially, as of right now. 10.6, 10.8 million jobs are available. So I'm looking one thing up. Well, see, it's less than I thought. I thought we were around 170 to 175 million people in the labor force. But as of 2022, they had it at about 163.5. Let's call it 165, right? 165 million. 3.4%. So we've got 5.6 million unemployed according to the unemployment data. And we have 10.8 million jobs. So very close to 2 job openings for every unemployed worker. You know, everyone's like, oh, you're not talking about the capitulation, the apathy rate, right? And I get that. There's always going to be arguments that can be made, but at the end of the day, yeah, we're in a fine place from a labor standpoint. Powell started speaking and the market got a little shook. Beige book just came out a little bit ago. We're okay. Jobless claims tomorrow still expected to be under 200,000. Employment from non-farm payrolls expected to come in at 225. Unemployment expected to stay at 3.4%. That's what's going on right now. Let's take a look at the model. The model has gotten more bullish. Bullish projections on the SPY. Let's take a look at the QQQ. Whoops, too many Qs. Fun fact, for those of you who may not know, it did actually used to be QQQQ, 4 Qs. Then they listed it on the New York. This is back in like 2002 or 3 maybe, and then they dropped a Q. Now it's only 3 Qs. I'm new, but I don't believe unemployment is that low at all. I mean, you know, are there people who are maybe underemployed but still employed? Of course. But I'll tell you what, that's one of the things that's really kept things propped up is the fact that we do have pretty good labor conditions. Okay. More bullish than not on the NASDAQ. Now, of course, you know, the next 3 days are kind of up in the air, but yeah. So QQQ looks fine. DIA. S&P says fine, right? Or excuse me, S&P Dow Jones Industrial Average. Or SPDR, Standard & Poor's Depository Receipt. So if you're ever wondering what that means, that doesn't mean it's part of the S&P. The S&P is an index created by Standard & Poor's. Standard & Poor's also has ETFs that mirror the Dow as well. So this is that ETF. And you can see same thing, right? That's 3 out of 3. We get to the IWM, that is small caps. Overall, I would still say slightly bullish, more than neutral, but yeah, that's what we have. That's what we're seeing. Okay. We looked at this a little bit earlier. We know that we tend to get a little bullishness here, which is about where we are after the pullback, right? It pulls back, and then we tend to get a little bullishness. Then we have a late March pullback, and then we have this late March to, oops, that's not what I wanted. This late March to end of April rally. Let me zoom in on that again. And then we hit the summer doldrums, right? Then we hit sell in May, go away. So got it. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Today's map tells us what? Semiconductors are okay. Technology's doing all right. Financials, not yet. Industrials, it's okay. Right? So we have energy dropping. We have healthcare with some pharmaceuticals leading down. Tesla still doesn't look great. So I'd say that, we still have materials setting up, industrials setting up, cyclical maybe setting up, financials. Yeah, it's mixed bag, but overall, if I saw this, I would say that I thought the market was maybe slightly up for the day, but it's not. It's slightly down overall. Okay, we'll come back to this. We'll do a sector rotation in a minute. Let's take a look. So here is, when did we start? Oh, I can't quite see it. We started here at 7:30. So you can see we started the Fed. This is where Jerome started speaking. It got nasty, but then recovered. And then we tried, and then we tried again, and then it just sort of petered out. Came back from lunch, had a little bit of a sell-off, a little bit up. Now what? I mean, we're a little oversold. There's not a lot of pressure here. I think that this could hold up and maybe bounce back towards 398. Here's how I'm drawing the contest for today. Everybody probably remembers recently when I had a solo win. I was the only one who went to A. I know we all are enjoying reliving that moment together. A, B, C. ABC, give it to me. What do you see? I think we're going to end up in B. I'm going to be the first today. Usually I wait. I barely beat Brad. He came out with B as well, but I snuck it in. I'm going to say B. I think we're going to pop up, and we might do this same kind of a little test right at the underside of 398 and then just settle in a little bit. Brad's a B, LK's a B. Who else? Who wants to get their answer on the books? So we said right now we're evaluating whether or not we think that this is going to turn into a buying moment, and we didn't say, oh, we think today's going to be the day. We said, we're going to try to see if we figure out more information today, and then find out where exactly that puts us. That's it. I'm not getting a lot of participants in the quiz. Come on. I need more participants. I don't want to see the quiz fall to the wayside. Nobody else wants to put it in? All right. There's only a few gold medals. Oh, there's Carmen. Carmen snuck it in. She said she's a B as well. Thank you, Carmen. Randall says likely B as well. Okay, we've got a few more people that are interested. Love it. All right, let's close her down. 397 by 398. That was the range. Let's take a look at the VIX. We had an interesting read on the VIX. An interesting read on the VIX, and still do. Right? The VIX is down. If I saw this, and if I'm like, if someone's like, what do you think about the market based on the VIX? What do you think the market's doing today? I'd be like, oh, I bet the market's slightly up. Why? Because it's inversely correlated and the VIX is slightly down. It's not like that's that complex of an analysis. What I am saying is, and this is what we talked about, what would it look like? This created a hedge opportunity yesterday. I did a half a hedge. I had a couple of other people say they have a hedge on. So my hedge is doing okay, making a little bit of money. Hoorah! But what's next? Right? But what is next? Yeah. That's a good question. If we see this thing move up, and I'm giving it this window right here. If it moves up into this window and then it turns around from there, that is clearly a lower high, which on the VIX indicates a de-escalation. So yeah, we'll take a look. 1 second here. Okay. Got to make a quick adjustment on a trade. Okay. Let's erase this and let's move forward into the watch list. So we have a new name. First of all, this is very exciting news. We're not going to call it the short list anymore. People always thought I meant short, like shorting a stock in a bearish fashion. That's not what it is. This is I've called it my shopping list, but that makes it seem like I'm just interested in buying it no matter what, and that's not true either. It's the priority list, the what is being prioritized as the stocks that you're watching a little more closely because they're the closest thing we have to a setup. Okay? So that's where we want to spend a little bit of time. Let me get this up and running and we'll go through the lists together. Alcoa. I mean, look at it, right? Look at it. Looks great. Let's talk about what's happened. What has happened? A little bit of a buyer's smash and grab, right? We hit some support. We got this big 5-day pop. Very nice. Now what? Now it pulls back and same thing. What am I thinking? Old highs become new lows. This thing might come down a little further. It turns. This turns. And we have a higher low, and yeah, what am I thinking? Well, we might see this make a run for 60. So is that happening now? No, not yet. Could be, it could just keep selling off. I don't know yet. What I'm saying is this is setting up. This is something that the buyers took control. Now we're waiting for the sellers. If the sellers start to settle and then the buyers come again, that's what makes us think we may have a possibility for a trend at that point. Yeah. So Alcoa is on the priority list. Okay, what else? Apple. And you can see Apple is still slightly up, but it's down from where it was earlier in the day. I still think that Apple's kind of flagging. Maybe it's got some more consolidation to go. Anything above, let's call it 147, is reasonable. So it could still fall another 5 points. That's still another 3% that it could drop without me even blinking an eye. And I'll be like, yeah, great. Let's trade it now that it's done. ADI. I don't love the way ADI looks right now. The semiconductors gave a signal. There was an ability to trade them recently. It's a little bit failed to launch, just kind of meandering around a little bit right now. All right, let's give it time. Archer Daniels, no good. AMD, I like AMD, actually. I almost kicked it off the island again, but I'm looking at this thinking, okay, AMD's made a push. When it finds its resistance, and you can see it's a little bit overbought, and then we drop back down. If it's just a small drop before it turns again, giddy up. Higher low, let's go. That's the, right? There's a low down here, and then we come up, and if it only drops to there and turns, that absolutely is what we're looking for. Amazon. This one is subtle. Let me see if I can zoom in one click on this to make it a little easier to see. It's subtle. We had it was consolidating real tight. Look at this consolidation. A lot of people don't see that. I see that as a kind of a base, but a downward moving base. We broke out of it. There wasn't volume, so it wasn't like a huge breakout, but we broke out of it. The sellers now have the floor. They're not doing much. If this turns, I would actually very much think, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Retail leader. Ooh, so AXP was one. I got in it. It moved up. Stalled, got out. Now what? Oof. Now it needs to hold. There's also Visa and MasterCard, and I'm open to switching. I do think that credit is leading in the financial realm. I don't like the way this looks today. We said it's a long day. Not a lot of volume, but definitely seeing selling pressure down 1%. Boeing, I liked on the priority list. Enough of a push by the buyers to perk my interest. Now what? It's not the buyers that tell us, yes, we should trade this or not. Right? It's not the buyers that tell us that. It's the sellers. What are the sellers telling us? Well, we're trying to figure it out. And you can see right now on this one especially, let me zoom in a little bit more. Selling, selling, selling. Look at this volume. Above average, slightly below average, significantly below average. What does that tell us about the sellers? They're losing steam, right? It tells us that they're losing steam. Great. Why is that important? Because we would like to trade at or near support. If I'm bullish, at or near support. What is support defined as? Support is defined as where the sellers stop selling and the buyers start buying. Where do the sellers stop selling and the buyers start buying? Well, as of right now, we see the sellers stopping their selling. We haven't seen the buyers come back yet. That hasn't happened. Okay. But it's gotta go through the first step first in order for it to get to the second step next. So there you go. Okay, let's keep going. Alibaba, you guys, we watch it, we pay attention to it. However, I am not a fan, and I'm not willing to trade them. At least not right now. Maybe some other time. Caterpillar, add it to the priority list with Boeing. Same kind of a thing. Big push up, stabilize, coming back. Looks pretty good. Oil, not interested. Costco, not interested. Costco still feels like it's in its same consolidation. If it ever gave a higher low, then I would be a maybe. But as of right now, depending on how you draw this, either way, it's still on the underside. It just hasn't given us enough to think that the buyers have made a run. It just hasn't happened yet. Okay. Let's be patient. We'll see. DBC with a strong natural gas component is maybe setting up. If you wanted to do something in energy, we'll look at UNG later on. John Deere, mostly sideways. If I'm trading industrials, I'm trading industrials in Caterpillar or Boeing. Okay. What else? Can't get my charts to advance here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here's the Dow, less than yesterday, still selling. We'll see if it can stabilize and hold this support level or not. That would certainly be useful to the market holding support. Disney. Disney is same kind of a thing. This is an interesting one because it had one of those tight consolidating ranges, right? Obviously, with the exception of earnings. And yeah, I missed that just a little, but it did look like maybe it got through. If this can hold and turn, I still think I'd consider it. Absolutely. FCX, I like Alcoa if I'm doing materials. FDX, it's really just kind of stuck right in this range. There's not a lot there. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, we were going to do sector rotation. You know what? Let's get through the list, and we'll come back, and then we'll go to the list one more time if we have to. Okay. FXI, another Chinese stock, looks very similar. Actually, interestingly, this one kind of broke. If I was someone's like, you should just trade what you see, Scott. That's what you tell us. And I'm like, I know. If I drew this line down, God, that's terrible. If I drew this line down It did pop above it and got this, and now it's down here. So if this turns, technically, would you have a viable potential for an entry? Yeah, I think you would. I think you would. GLD, gold, Goldman, Small caps, We've got Jets for consumer discretionary. That's a little bit more of a maybe, but still kind of MasterCard, yes. I like how MasterCard looks. I think I like the way MasterCard looks better than the way American Express looks. But I'm open. I'm open to it, right? So I'm not going to trade Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. I'm only going to pick one of those. But I'm open as to which one it's going to be. How about that? Okay. Meta. I'm open to Meta. I like it. I've traded it a couple of times through here when it was coming up. Right? Got a little stalled, but then it kept moving. Good earnings, came up. Bit of a cup and handle, and possibly giving us an ability to trade out of the handle. Put it on the priority list. Marvell. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, it's bouncing today. It's up 4%. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a better opportunity as far as chip stocks go. Okay, let's see. Microsoft. I like Microsoft. I like Microsoft better than Apple. It popped up, pulled back a little bit. If it holds, I'd like to see it hold at 250. I think I said 247 this morning. Like, oh, it could go down to 247. I'd prefer if it held 250 to just be, representative of a stronger show. But let's be open to it. I think you could catch something here. If I were to build this trade, if I were to build this trade from where it is, I'd be looking for 275. I mean, that's a nice potential move. 250, at least to 265, maybe even up to 275. So I want that trade. That would be very helpful for the tech market. That would fall in line with what we're looking for a spring rally. Nothing in Netflix yet. NVIDIA is still strong, but hard to find good entries to NVIDIA, unfortunately. Oracle. Oracle. What do we want to do with Oracle? Nothing. It's too sideways. It's stuck in a base. QQQ. Again, it's enough of a pop that this to me says yes. There's momentum developing in the tech sector that is interesting to evaluate. Starbucks. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I still think this is all the same consolidation. If I draw this down kind of like that, I kind of feel like I need this. Technically, right now, that would be a bit of a higher low if it turned. So if you saw something like that and you saw this come down and turn here, you might say, you know what? I'm a go. Okay. I would still actually think about that as well. Easier to wait for something like this to try to catch that next piece. But yeah, I'm open to it. Oh, silver, no good. Semiconductors, trying, SPY. Look at that. We're back to flat. Back to flat means what? It's funny because a doji, which is the candle we see now, spinning top doji. A doji as a candle means indecision, but indecision as a candle doesn't mean indecision. Indecision is important relative to what we saw for the 2-3 days prior. If I have buying indecision, what does that mean? It means the sellers, or excuse me, it means the buyers stopped buying. We haven't seen sellers, it hasn't gone down. And just like here, we had red, doji. So, and the first red was really more of a capitulation. It was the same as the day before, right? So we have sellers followed by a doji. So whose indecision is it? It's the sellers' indecision. The sellers are the ones who didn't sell as hard today as they did yesterday. And when they don't sell as hard, what does that do? That gives us the ability to say, hey, maybe the sellers are done and we should be thinking about buyers again. And that's where you create your priority lists to determine what you're willing to trade next and why. Okay. Target. Nothing there. Toll Brothers, not really there either. Tesla is struggling, down another 3%. UNG. So UNG, I find interesting. We had this big surge in buyers, and we're like, ooh, the buyers have done enough to make us interested. And then it gapped down, but it gapped down, and the sellers have had the floor for 3 days. They've had the floor. 3 days, they've had an opportunity. The first day, they smashed it down overnight, but then they couldn't get it any further. The second day, buyers are thinking about it. Third day, tried it again, and it's just not going anywhere. You can see that this is getting close. And if this turns, I would say, especially, I mean, prior to the war in the Ukraine, this thing lived up around 15, right? Was it 15? Maybe it was a little less than that. Let me see. Yeah, I guess it can be around this 10 to 11 area. Then over here was more like 12 and a half. I mean, look at that drop. That's just ridiculous how much that dropped. I think that there's some potential to come out of that. I'm still watching it. Visa looks pretty good. If you like Visa better than MasterCard, that's certainly viable. There's nothing that says that's not a good potential to look at it for sure. Here's the VIX. Oh, the VIX. It's not a, some people are like, oh, isn't this a lower high? It's got to take out this bottom, or tomorrow it's got to take out this bottom. It's got to show me that it's taken something out. It can't just be one candle. So I am definitely watching to see what happens with that. Financials down a bit. Industrials. I think industrials look pretty strong, quite honestly. Staples, nothing there. Discretionary really doesn't look great, but there are a few discretionary stocks that I am thinking about. Okay, let's go take a look at sector rotate. Are there any stocks that I missed that you think, oh, Scott, we should be looking at X? Let me know if there's something I'm missing from my watch list that you think would be beneficial to have. Okay, let's keep going then. Sector rotation. Maybe we'll even run a search. We'll see. So over 200 days, this is 9 months. We're starting back here in May. I guess 10 months maybe. What's leading? Over the last 10 months, industrials. From May of last year till now, industrials are up 14%. Financials and energy are both up about 8%. Technology, 8.5%. Staples, 5%. And then from there, it starts to drop off with our laggards being comm services and utilities. Okay, I'd like to see communication services a little stronger, but overall, it looks pretty reasonable. We come down here, we go to 133, 2/3 of that. So now we're looking at 6 months, a little over. And we've got this batch of leaders here. We had healthcare, but healthcare is kind of just meandered on down. You've got staples, comm services, technology, all kind of flat. Who's lagging? Discretionary and utilities. Utilities have been terrible. Discretionary, we'd expect a little bit more, but here's our leaders: energy, industrials, materials, and financials. What are we looking for trades on? We're looking for trades on financials. We're looking for trades on industrials. We're also looking at technology. We're looking at financials. So all of these, we've got 3 out of 4 of them covered. The only one so far is technology, but we haven't finished this. We got to see as we continue to shift, where would it put us? Okay. So as we look at just the last 3 months and change, communication services all of a sudden moved well up into a leading position. Technology in a leading position. Industrials and basic materials. Then we have what's even with the market. We have discretionary trading, financials, the market. Then down here, what do we have? What's lagging over this period? Energy, staples, utilities. Okay. And let's finish this analysis off with a 22 days. What do we have? Energy. So we're looking at UNG. Industrials, we're looking at Caterpillar and Boeing. Materials, we're looking at Alcoa. Technology, we're looking at Microsoft and AMD, some chip stocks. Staples, nothing in staples. I have nothing in staples. I'm not interested in staples. Financials have actually dropped a little further, but I do have the credit sector that looks pretty good. So at this point, what have I done? I've tried to organize everything that I'm doing into these components. Organized by, what sector they're in. Most of these are going to be large cap. I want to trade options. I don't want to trade illiquid options on the small cap stock. But overall, those are the right sectors to lead. If consumer cyclical, right, staples, and utilities and healthcare were leading, I'd be like, oh, I don't love that. That doesn't look great. That's not what we have, right? We have growth sectors leading. We have a VIX that is staying relatively low. We have the model showing increased bullishness. It's hard to want to trade bearishly in the face of all that information, but at the same time, we're not going to just throw bullish trades on because we know we've got to wait for the right signals to show up. So, is it hard to show this patience? Yes. I think we all struggle with it sometimes. Here's one of the things I want you to think about. And if you're going to come back tomorrow, I want you to tell me where you stand. Are you, relative to current conditions, your comfort level, your risk management, everything else, are you over trading? Are you or have you, let's just say in the last 2 weeks, are you or have you been or currently over trading? You don't have to answer. This is for thought. This is for thought. Now, I ask that question a lot, sometimes in the room, sometimes in one-on-one sessions. And I get a lot of the same response, which is, well, how do I know if I'm over trading? And my answer is very simple and always has been. This is my rule. If you aren't 100% sure that you're not over trading, you probably are. It's very easy, right? And the ease with which we have the potential to overtrade absolutely is very dynamic according to market conditions. If you're in a nice, low volatility, trending bullish market, it's hard to overtrade, man. I just want to throw all my money at trades and be like, yeah, it'll figure it out. It'll work out. I'm very reluctant to take losses in that type of a market. Well, we're not in that market though, right? Not right now. So the more stable and the more established trend that a market has, the more risk I'm going to be looking to take, and vice versa. So yeah, right now I'm not looking for huge chunks of risk. I'm looking to control and wait for better and more information. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's pop back over and let's see how the market looks like it's wrapping up. Let's do a reverse order going back through. So IWM, we're down 0.5%. We're back to neutral. That looks okay. It's holding support. Very nice. Supporting a bullish narrative, at least as of now. The Dow, same thing. What do I have going on here? I've got market pushing up, pulling back yesterday big, today just kind of flat. Looks fine from that perspective. Here's the QQQ. That looks great. Looks like a bull flag. Up, pulling back a little, waiting to see if it turns. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, we'll look at the SPY and the VIX. I don't see anything that's begging to be traded, but I think it could be very close. It could be tomorrow. We could have another test down or a sideways day, and then it bounces on Friday. It could bounce tomorrow. It could sell off tomorrow and retest the old lows. It could sell off tomorrow and break the old lows. There's nothing sure here. Just different potential opportunities. Let's go see who won. Oh my goodness. Did we have any A's? We did. Nat came through. Nat, I can't remember if I've seen your name on the game before, but solo gold medals are by far the most valuable. That's why I made such a big deal of my solo gold medal. We all reflected on it and remembered it fondly. Probably I remembered it more fondly than everybody else, but in my mind, I think we all were equally pleased with the result. However, congratulations. It looks like you're picking up a shiny new 2023 solo gold medal. Wear it proudly. If anyone around you asks why you're holding your chest so high, you can let them know why. But it looks like the A's have it. A's, which is Nat. B's, you know the drill. Hang your head in shame. Try harder next time. We only get one quiz a week. We used to get like 4, it seems. I get relegated, unfortunately. But yeah, okay. So the buyers are closing this thing out a little bit, put us back. We're slightly positive on the SPY. We're more than slightly positive on the Qs. It'll be an interesting day tomorrow. Do we get some follow through? Does it continue to push and we start to get some setup opportunities from within our priority list? Hopefully you feel pretty comfortable. You have what we've talked about plus some of your own in your priority list. You know what you're looking to trade, how much risk, etc. There we go. I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm filling in for Vlad again tomorrow morning, and then I'll be back again on Friday morning. So I will very much look forward to seeing you guys then. I'm going to let you go. We're about 47 seconds early, but I'll tell you what, that one was clearly the other way. So I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. And as always, happy trading.